What a season for the San Francisco Shock. From the World Championship to the perfect stage, this was the Shock's season. The Vancouver Titans were really the only team who were able to compete with them throughout the entire season, but man, these guys just proved their dominance. Coming into season 3, expectations are sky high, and it's easy to see why. So let's get into it. For the San Francisco Shock, they basically kept their same roster except for Nevix, who is a pretty strong tank, and by reputation, I haven't watched much of his gameplay, but apparently he's a pretty strong player, and he went to the Defiant. And other than that, it's the same players from last year and ANS. ANS comes from, actually, he hasn't had, oh, that's right. So yeah, he retired for almost all of 2019. From January 16th till December 23rd, he retired from competitive Overwatch. So he's coming back as a DPS, obviously to be back up. They have so much strength there. Yeah, he played in some Korea Cup in June, but that's about it. And so he's not going to do too much, I don't think. But that's just the roster moves. I want to talk about them. You know, it's like the off-season, coming to the new season review type thing. So I'm going to have to talk about it. But it's so inconsequential when you look at this main roster. Nevix leaving and Ans coming in, no difference. This roster is stacked. And, oh man, I don't even know where to start. Like, let's just go from the top of what Wikipedia lists. Tank is the first guy, that's Super. Super, Shoyobin, and Smurf are your 3 tanks. And holy cow, doesn't that sound good? Like, we saw in the grand finals, Super and Smurf both played main tank. That's insane that you have 2 guys at the same quality of, like, Overwatch grand finals caliber. And then Shoyobin, of course, one of the best in the league, if not the best off-tank. Super stacked tank line. And then you get to the DPS, where you have even more versatility. You have Sinatra, Architect, Striker, and Rascal. Like, oh my word. They played, if you look at, for me, Sinatra and Striker, one of the best duos in the entire league for DPS. And then, for part of the World Championship, they didn't even play Sinatra and Striker together. They had Rascal and Architect together in the grand finals. That's crazy. That's another duo where you can substitute. Like in the main tank, you don't have a backup for Choyobin right now, but you can switch Super and Smurf, and you're fine. And you can switch out 2 players, Sinatra and Striker, for Architect and Rascal. Like, that's insane that they can both play at such an insane level. And what are you going to do about that? How are you going to prepare for that as the other team? Obviously, they're probably going to come in with like Sinatra and Striker, but when they switch them out, or any combination of those 4 players, that's impossible to game plan for. And like, they're all so good at what they do. It's not like you have one guy who's a good flex and the 3 others are specialists. Like, they're all really good at the hero pools that they have respectively. It's insane. And then the only position where you don't really have any backups is support, with Moth and Violet. And I don't want to say they're underrated, because I think everybody knows how good they are, but I just don't hear them being talked about much. You know what I mean? Like, they're not talked about with like the Jonax of the league, and like, I feel like I even hear more talk about Jaehong and stuff, even though there's so much concern that he's like washed up and stuff. But man, Moth and Violet, what a solid support line. And these guys all get along so well. They're such a young core. Like, if this team stays together for a long time, man, won't they be insane? And it's easy to see why these guys are coming in as favorites for the season. Even if you put in their backup players, they're still insane. One of the top teams in the league. So, man, I don't know. But this team, it's going to take some convincing for me to think they're not going to make it to the grand finals again, if not win at all. If you look at who their competition was last season, obviously they played the Titans in the finals. The Titans kind of fell apart towards the end of the season. I don't want to say fell apart. They obviously still had to make it to the grand finals, but they weren't the same team as they were during GOATS. And like the Excelsior, they're improved, yeah, but are they improved to the point where they can fight this roster? I don't think so. And that's why I'm going into this season. I think it's very cliche, I guess, at this point. Everybody says it, but the Shock, I think, are easily the favorites for the season. But let's get into some more of like the season review from last year. They started off stage 1 kind of rough. They went 4-3, which is enough for 6th place during that stage. And I don't think any team is going to complain about a 4-3 stage. It's positive. It's putting you up there. 6th out of 20th, that's not bad, you know? Putting you in a position to secure a playoff spot. But not for this team. That's not enough. Stage 2, perfect stage. Not even a single map dropped. Absolutely insane. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again in the Overwatch League. Stage 3, 5-2. Like, a disappointment is 5-2. Isn't that insane? And stage 4, another 7-0 stage. And that's once 2-2-2 was put into place too. And you have to look at that probably as the most indicative of what's going to be happening this season. Absolutely insane. The only real hiccup for this team was when they lost in the playoffs the first round, had to go down to the losers bracket. But obviously they just dominated their way from there and never looked back. So super exciting for this team. They're so good. They're so talented, and like, yeah, obviously I know a lot of people don't like, and like it's understandable. Sometimes I don't like it when a team is so favorited, you know it's not really going to be a chance. I feel like that's going to be how this goes, isn't it? You know, like for most of the season, you're not going to have to really worry about what's going on here. The San Francisco Shock play the Dallas Fuel on February 9th, the first game of the season for them. And let me see. Week 2 they're not playing. And then week 3. So I'm just going to the schedule here. Like, then they play the Guangzhou Charge and the Shanghai Dragons. Like, all three of those teams, Fuel below average, Charge and Dragons, both top half teams, I think. But there's not going to even be a challenge if you ask me. Like, if either of those teams, the Charge or the Dragons, come out with a win, that'll be a big upset. Like, exceptional upset. So this team looks so good. I'm excited to watch them. If they could repeat, that'd be really cool for them, because I love seeing like dynasties being formed, and so I'm really excited for these guys. They're so good. They have so much versatility. I don't even think there's much else to say. So everybody, don't forget the season starts soon. I have an Emrat, and thanks for watching.